There's one more type of illusion I want to share with you, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of those. And this is a different kind of illusion because it only works once, so pay attention. So in the next clip, what you're going to see is a group of people holding iPads, and they're going to move the iPads. And the iPads are going to change colors. And your task is to count how many times they change into the color red. Every time something changes from one color to red to something else, you count it. And then another iPad changes to red, you count it. And your task is to count how many times all the iPads across the whole clip change into red colors. Now, don't get too technical. If something looks almost like red or slightly pinkish, it's okay. Count it as red. Okay? So, before we go though, I do want to say a couple of things. First of all, it turns out, and there's a lot of research about it, showing that people who do well on this task, people who count well on this task, do well in terms of their love life. They have a better romantic life. And the second thing is that those people who do well on this task live longer. So if I were you, I'm just saying, if I were you, I would focus. I would count well because remember, what's on the line here is your romantic future and your longevity. So, count carefully how many times how many times the iPads are switching into red color. Ready, set, go. So how many did you count? You count 50, 60, 70, 40, 20? How many? The real number is 62, but the reality is that that doesn't matter so much. The reason I really asked you this question was not to ask you how many times the iPads are flashing red, but to ask you a slightly different question, which is, did you notice me in a particular bee suit hovering around the scene? Did you notice me at all or not? Let's look at it again. And this time try to pay careful attention, not to the iPads, but to the total scene. And let's see if this time you can see me floating around. And just to be clear, this is the same exact clip. And if you don't believe me, luckily you have the video. Go back and you can look at the first clip again just to prove it to yourself beyond a shadow of a doubt. I hope that, like me, you find this quite startling. You look at a small part of the screen, you focus, you look very carefully, and nevertheless, something unexpected happens around the screen and you're able to ignore it. It's a tremendous ability of human capacity. And the reason for that, by the way, is that we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brains. Our brains expect us to see a particular pattern, and that's what we end up seeing. Now we think we see with our eyes. We think that we observe all the information, but we don't. And just as another example of that, do you remember what shirt I was wearing before we started this clip? Well, you can go back and check to yourself, but I have a different haircut, slightly different shape, actually very different shape, slightly different shape, and a different shirt. And I bet you didn't notice those changes either. I hope you agree with me that it's really kind of amazing to see how much we don't pay attention. You know, we usually think that we see with our eyes, but the reality is we see with our